Hey, hey, hey. It is time for another episode of what is our podcast called again? We haven't been doing this long enough.
It's Let's Eat Orlando with Amy, Drew, and Biggie.
Yeah, let's eat Orlando. Let's eat everything in Orlando. I'm hungry. We're gonna have a really fun show today because it's barbecue time. I'm making pulled pork right now. My house smells really good, and we're in the mood to talk about pork and beef, and I guess maybe some vegetarian sides, possibly. But it's
Grilled
really
tofu,
not a
I guess.
vegetarian's game, the barbecue
No,
game.
it is not. It is not. So first off, before we start talking about that, you had mentioned to me about tell me, can you tell the story about give a version of the story of what you're cooking, because this is something you've been cooking for a while, and like and I'm just kind of curious if you can kind of give a version of it, of like where you got the recipe and all of that.
And this is an old one. I make it in the crock pot. It is a Carolina pulled pork recipe, vinegar based. I love it. And I'm not, pulled pork. I think you told me pulled pork is what you usually go for when you go for barbecue. I think it was you.
No, I go brisket. I'm a
Yes,
brisket guy.
I am a brisket and or ribs person, generally
Mhm.
speaking, but I love this recipe. But I did not grow up with crock pots in my house. So I just wasn't familiar with it. So I was probably like 30 years old and I used to kind of knock the crock pot. And I worked with a bunch of people who were big fans. They'd be like, "Oh, I've got it going at home. I'm gonna have dinner ready when I get home. You gotta get a crock pot." So they finally sold me, and I didn't know what the heck to cook in the crock pot, but it came with like a little instruction booklet on how to work the crock pot, and it had like 10 recipes in it. And one of them was Carolina pulled pork. It was in the little handbook that like showed you the parts of the crock pot. And I made it and it was awesome. And so that's the recipe that I make. And honestly, I've made that's probably 90% of everything I've ever made in a crock pot. And I still don't use it that often, but I always make this.
I
And
love.
right now I'm doing it for a story. So
I
that's why
think
I'm
it.
making it.
I think it's great. So let's. Since you said it's a Carolina one, what do you use a Carolina sauce at the end, like at the end when you top your barbecue, or do
There
you
is
not?
no sauce.
Okay.
It is like a jus. It gets a rub. It gets a dry rub, and then you make a vinegar based, what I would call a jus. They don't call it that because
Yeah.
they don't use that term in barbecue, I guess. And you pour some of that over the top of it. You let it cook in there with the onions, and then you save some because people also like to use it sometimes as a dip or pour more on.
Yep.
I don't even think it's necessary because it cooks in there with all the pork, runoff and everything. But I have it. So yeah, it's vinegar, and I can't remember everything off the top of my head. It's vinegar, cider vinegar, and some sugar and dry mustard and red pepper and garlic powder and a bunch of other things. And then on the pork though is just brown sugar, smoked paprika, salt and pepper. That's it.
That's how I like it. I like that.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
really good.
Are you usually, when you go and order barbecue, like what's your, since we're obviously going to talk about some of the barbecue places in Central Florida that we like and stuff like that, what's your go-to? Like, do you know, like I'll preface it this way. Like, I'm assuming that when you go to a pizzeria or a pizza place, there's certain things that you kind of like, if you can't do these things, or this is how I can tell your layer of what if I will like or not like. Is there something like that when you go into a barbecue place, or that like a go-to order that you always order?
I don't feel like I have. I want to know your go-to order. You're always asking me everything. Why don't you tell me your
Um,
go-to? You grew up down here.
no,
There's
I
more.
grew up in Jersey, so I am
Okay.
not. I
So
grew
you're
up in
like me. You're
Jersey.
kind of like,
Yeah,
bereft
I
of barbecue
I
experience
grew up.
until you. I lived in Atlanta for a while. There was good barbecue there.
So
My go-to, like we said, I like brisket and I like ribs. I'm all about the meat when I go to a barbecue place. I am not about the sides. I like a coleslaw or a cucumber salad, something that's like crunchy and not heavy. Plus, I am the pickiest mac and cheese person. Like to me, like every mac and cheese that I try is like people be like, "This one's so good," and I'll be like, "It's all right." Like, but all that stuff takes up too much space. You need to leave real
yep.
estate for the meat.
So, and I'm the same way. When I order barbecue, first off, yes, I know I'm a sandwich guy. I do not order a sandwich when I get
Never,
barbecue.
never,
I
ever, ever.
literally, my whole thing is I want to enjoy your meats. So
Yes.
like I usually will do like a 3 meat. I'll pick like a 3 meat platter or something that allows me to have like a brisket, maybe a pulled pork, if it's like your chicken or whatever you say, ribs, whatever you tell me. I usually will even ask them. I'll be like, well, what is it that I
Yeah.
should be getting?
I'll
Just
ask.
because
I'll
I kind
ask.
of want to see what it is. Because sometimes I may not pick, like they may say, hey, the turkey's amazing. And I'd be like, I don't really think I want turkey. But
I try
sometimes that,
turkey. I try house-made sausage. I like if they make their own sausage, I want to try it.
yeah. So a lot of times that's what I'll do. And then obviously I may ask for like an extra piece of bread or whatever, because maybe I'll convert one of those pieces as I go. But the other big thing is I am like I do like sauces. However, I try not to put any sauce on the meats. I want
Yeah,
to just enjoy the
yeah,
meats.
I'm the same way. If there are sauces, if they're house made, I want to try them, but I'll put them in little cups and I taste them separately
Hmm.
because I tend to like spicier ones. I like the mustard ones, like the Carolina Gold. I like something like that. But with this pulled pork, I never put any gooey sauce on it because it's so good, just with that vinegary, brown sugary taste. But what I usually do when I make this and I'm having people over is I'll get a really big one and I split them and I'll put a bowl out and I will pull that pork and toss it in like a sweeter sauce because most people like that. And then I'll
Yes.
leave some of it plain for me and the other people who don't want the goo. And then there'll be more goo. If you want to add goo, you can, you know?
I like how you call it goo instead of just
Yeah,
sauce.
it's goo because once it gets hot and sticky, it's like gooey.
What do you okay, so when you serve this pulled pork out of the crock pot, how is it being served? Is it just like you serve it and then you have some sides? Are you bringing like
No,
are you doing
is a
sliders, rolls? What
this
are you
is a
doing?
sandwich, yeah. This is I mean, you could do
Okay.
sliders. I don't usually do it. This is a pulled Carolina pulled pork sandwich. It goes on a nice roll with slaw, and I cut up a bunch of onions and I put them under the pork so they cook in there. So I like to put the onions, and the pork and then cook slaw on it.
Yes.
Not everybody wants onions. I am
I want
pro
onions,
onion.
I want slaw, I want
Yeah.
all of that.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. So that's how I eat it with onion, pork, slaw on a roll, Carolina style. That's what I want.
Okay. I like that. I like that. So
No
for
goo. You
no
can
goo.
have the goo. I'm totally okay with my guests doing that. I want them to have what they like, but I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
want
yeah. No, I totally get that. Is there now I know, and obviously I'm not expecting you to be the expert, and I'm trying to figure out myself, like, because I've eaten barbecue in a variety of different places, like in Texas, and I've had it in Memphis, I've had it in
I like
Carolina.
Memphis.
So
I
do
like
you have a
Memphis.
preference of like one over the other, of like where of like tech of like the styles, the different styles of barbecue, or does it not matter?
I like them all because I like everything. But
Hmm.
if I had to pick, if you set me before or whatever and you said these are the best of the regions, I would go probably either Carolina or Memphis. Those are my two favorites. But I like Texas because brisket in Texas, I go St. Louis, I like
Yeah.
barbecue. So,
Yeah. Barbecue is a good one. And speaking of that, I would say there's definitely a lot to choose from here in Central Florida. Like
yes, we're
I
getting
that
we're getting to be like really heavy dude. Like there are still some out there that I've heard really good things about that I've been dying to try. Like we should go. We always say this. We should go. We should go
we
here. We
should
should
go.
go
We
there.
should
And
make we have a running list. I have a running list of
I
places
know,
that
and
we've
yet
talked
this is
about.
where I see you. I see you on the
I
computer.
know. I know.
It's a
We're gonna
shame.
change that. We're gonna change that. What do you have? So can we talk a little bit about some of the barbecue, like places that that you enjoy, that we can kind of maybe show some love to, or at least
Well, why
you
don't
know.
you go first?
All right.
I think I want to hear what
I have
you
no
have to
problem.
say.
So I will say classic old school Cecil's Texas style barbecue. That one's like kind of like, that's a good one. That's like kind of been here forever. But like other places, like I've tried,
Cecil's is the
I,
one by Rock Pit, right? I'm
mhm,
trying to get my bearings.
yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so
And
I know
then
what I'm talking about.
there's others that I've been to that I thought are really good. Like I like Jimmy Bears in St. Clouds.
I have
Uh,
heard wait, yeah, Jimmy Bears. I've heard of
Jimmy
yeah.
Bears is good. I like that one. I remember, it's funny because we've talked about this one place because it was your Critics' Choice for the Foodie Awards. And it's funny because I had messaged you and be like, I know you've been here. Briskets and barbecue, Shack and Grill in Oviedo.
Briskets was this year's winner. I'm getting in. I've done the foodies 4 times. Can you
Yeah,
believe that?
yeah,
Um, so yeah, this year's winner was briskets. Really good food, really good, huge menu.
yep.
Holy cow! And they do a lot of great stuff. And that line is out the door. I am not the only person
No,
who. There were many, many people who approved of my choice this year.
yep. The so,
They do good
some other
desserts too.
they do have good, but the banana pudding and the pies are good.
It is. It's really good.
Uh, smoking donuts. I like smoking donuts.
I do. You talked about turkey. I like the turkey at Smokin'
That's
Donut.
well, that's where I said the turkey from because my wife had it and she's like, "This is amazing."
It is. It's really good.
she's like,
It's
"It's
really good
really
turkey.
good." So she got
Like
like
you
the
finally
sliders.
have a barbecue place where
Yeah.
you're like, wow, I could be tempted away from the most fattening thing
Yep.
by the
Yep.
turkey. Because most places you're like, it's going to be dry. Just give me pork.
Yep.
you
And
know.
that's exactly why I said that because I was like, who would do turkey? But they're the reason why because of them. I do like I really do enjoy Pig Floyd's just because I love the sides and I love the variety of different
I need to
things
go back
for
to Pig Floyd. It's
barbecue.
been too long.
That one is
Pig
one of
Floyd's
those.
won my first year. They won my
Yeah.
first year, so I have shown them love. I haven't
I
been back in
love
a while.
I love their I enjoy their ribs. I still think their half chicken is awesome with the rice and
Yeah,
black beans and yuca
the,
fries is what I usually get it with. And I love
it's
it. I
so
love the
hard for
sides.
me, like, to get because I love chicken, and that's not why you go to a barbecue place
Yes.
usually.
Yes. But I still will go usually so my go-tos there are if I want a meal, I do have the half chicken. I don't know why, but I do the half chicken. I feel like it because I get a great bang for the buck. It's really good. And then if not, I go plain Jane brisket. Plain Jane
Yeah.
brisket sandwich is what I go with. Is usually. And then some other ones like smoked meat meats.
You just said you do a sandwich though. Don't you just eat the brisket?
Well, no, I don't always no. Because like I mean when I initially go to a place,
I hear your dog.
I know I hear my dog too.
Mine's sleeping right here.
Um, when I go to a first place, I don't eat a sandwich. But if I go once I've been there forever or I
Okay.
keep going, then I'll get a sandwich because that's exactly what I did. I actually broke my rule and I'm perfectly fine breaking it at Boxer and Clover. I had their chopped
Oh,
brisket sandwich.
I
Holy cow.
yeah,
So good.
I liked a lot of what I ate at Boxer and Clover. And I tasted the sides. I'm trying to remember. The beans. The
Cowboy
be-
beans.
the beans at Boxer and Clover are crazy good. Like
My what I did was when I ate my brisket sandwich, all the pieces that fell off into the little bucket, into the little tray, like the little boat that it goes in, I then grabbed it and I dumped it into the beans and then I mixed
oh,
it up so that I had the
yeah,
meat to go with it. That's what I
yes,
that
that
was
is a move.
that is the move that I did with that. That's how I eat. I feel like anything that falls, I'm like, okay, that becomes something else. I can have to be able to enjoy it a different way.
I tasted everything and then sent all the leftovers home with my boss, who was very happy, whose husband was very happy, and I was very happy because this is the one thing with barbecue. I really don't once in a while I will go on my own to barbecue, but it's not my go-to. It's for work when I eat barbecue. I like it, but the reason I don't go is because you eat barbecue and then like you're done. You can't do anything. When people go to barbecue for lunch and they eat that, like, what do? Just like go back and just sleep at their
They
desk?
hibernate. They hibernate.
It's so to me, it's like barbecue is Steven says barbecue is an investment.
I like
Like
that.
if you're gonna have barbecue, you like gotta mark out time to
Mm-hmm.
like it's like being a snake. It's like you ate, a badger and now you have to go lay down in a cave somewhere and digest that.
And
You
hibernate.
can't leave. You
So
just have to lay where you are and digest your food.
I, two other places that I wrote down as I was thinking about that we were going to be talking about this. Any Southern Smokehouse in St. Cloud. They won
Love them.
they
Hey, Jay Brown.
and they won second. They won I think it was like Reader's Choice in the Foodie Award this year.
And
Which
they
is
were
great.
my choice last
Yep.
year. They were my
Exactly.
choice last year. Great place, great people, old school, like legit his grandmother's recipes. He's got some good sides too. But again, I taste and then I move on because it's not about that. I want
Yeah.
ribs. I
Yeah.
want ribs. I want all that stuff. I don't want to eat your mac and cheese, even if it's good. It's too heavy.
The last one is I have not been to it since it's, I guess, changed its version, I guess its iteration. But originally I used to love Uncle Kenny's. And I know now he does Uncle Kenny's Takeaway, I think is what it is now.
Yes, he's got a
Um,
truck now. I have to go check that
yes.
out.
I have to check that out because I loved their barbecue. They were the first ones that I had. I actually had it was like barbecue. What was it? It was
And
like a
that's
barbecue
Saucy
egg
St.
rolls.
Louis barbecue. He does the Saucy
Yes.
St. Louis. It's really good, you
Yeah.
know? It's good stuff. It's fun. Regional foods are fun, you know? So it's
Yes.
neat that you have all of these different versions and you can have a favorite, but you can also still like everything. And that's me. I'll
Yeah.
eat it all. I'll eat it all.
Did I miss I mean obviously I rattled off a lot of barbecue places, and do you have any that you kind of like, I really like this place, or any places that maybe I should think about checking out?
Well, there's one that I'll probably end up writing about this soon. I wrote about them, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago. It's Joe's Holy Smoke.
Okay.
And he makes barbecue out of, I'm trying to remember what kind of gas station. I think it's a Shell station. You could Google that in Castleberry. Now, I'm not sure if he's still doing that, but rumor has it that they're going to be opening a brick and mortar. And I don't know what you would call his. It's like crazy saucy. He does this thing. You want to talk about sandwiches? He does this thing called a rib dog, where he takes a giant rib and just slaps it in a hot dog bun, and then he yanks the bone out. Yeah, look at your face. Look at your face.
I would eat the hell out
You're
of that.
interested. Yeah, yeah. And I did, like, in my car,
Yeah.
like after I got it. But it's like he puts all the sauce, like two different kinds of sauce. He'll mix the sweet with the spicy. So you'll get like that kind of dark red with the more Tabasco-y orange on the top. And it's just on that soft hot dog roll. It's got to be stupid bad for you, man. But it's so good. It's so good. You get a box from him and it like weighs 12 pounds,
That's awesome.
It's like all the sides and the meat and it's really good. I don't know what you'd classify. It's just sort of Southern barbecue is what I would call it. I would just call it Southern.
Yeah, and I think for me, I think the big thing is like I don't know, like I'm really not, I'm picky in the sense that I want like I will be honest, I don't traditionally get pulled pork. I don't usually get
No,
pulled
me
pork
either.
at most places. It's like the last thing I will order. It just
I had it at
doesn't.
Boxer and Clover. It was actually good. It was, I
Yes,
mean, not that I'm surprised.
my daughter loves it. That's her go-to order.
So that's
Is
good. You get
that,
to
and
taste
she
it
had it.
whenever you
So I'll
go.
have a taste of it, but it's not usually my go-to at all. It's I'm usually more of like, I want the brisket, I want the
Hmm.
ribs.
Oh, the brisket there
You
was
know.
so good. The
So
brisket there
yeah.
was so that was my favorite. When we went, I can tell you this, the brisket was my favorite of the meats I tried at Boxer and Clover, and my boss loved the pulled pork. She's a pulled pork girl. That was her favorite.
Okay. Nice.
So,
You've been to, I know I've heard, or you've been to one's called like Brock.
Brock's, yeah. Brock's is a food truck, and they used to be, running around Tasty Takeover, all that stuff. But now Brock's parks at the food factory in Oviedo.
Okay.
And it's basically like so this place it's like a micro food hall. It has like mini restaurants and like a more communal area, like out at the bar where you can take your food and eat it and whatever. And Brock's is sort of like the bar restaurant. So the truck is
Nice.
there and you can place your order at the bar for the barbecue and they'll run it out to you. And his barbecue is amazing. It's Brock's Florida barbecue, and
Okay.
he does a lot of unique things. He does like a mojo pork steak that's amazing. Yeah, I see your face. I knew
I
that would
love
get
that.
you.
I love
Yeah,
that.
he does a lot of really unique things, fun things, and very traditional things, but like his way. Really good. So if you're into tasting lots of barbecue, this is a great place to go because so many barbecue places are like pop-ups and trucks. And so this is a truck, but like it's basically in this really nice full bar where on
Yeah.
the weekends there could be live music, you could bring your dog, your kids can run around and there's a place to sit, it's got shade, and a lot of these other places don't have that.
Yeah, and I also that well,
They have
obviously in that
shaded smoke-made meats, but first you have to wait an hour in the sun if you wanna get in there because
yeah,
everybody loves
yeah.
it so
Everyone loves it and everyone's going to it. Yeah, it's a that's a tough one to go. Like there's always I mean, I will say the one thing that to me about barbecue is that it's like it's so laborious in the sense of
Yeah,
these
18
meat
hours in the
yeah,
smoker.
and like you got to keep an eye on them and there's technology and science
Mhm.
like looking at it like you have like your temperatures and making sure that you can't open it so that the heat doesn't release and making sure it's low and slow which to me in some cases I know some people say it's therapeutic, others just love it because they love like the flavor
It's
of
like
it
a
and
meat bonsai. It's
yeah
like tending a meat bonsai.
I mean
When you say it's I don't know that anybody's ever told me it's therapeutic,
no,
but I can see that was immediately I thought, "What's a therapeutic hobby?" But it's sort of the same thing, just in small increments. Like, you
yeah
make this bonsai, and then you share it, and you get the satisfaction that so many people love of sharing their food and other people loving it, right?
yeah
So
yeah
it's like there's so much satisfaction in that. But yeah, you stink, and you're hot, and it takes a long time. It's definitely
yeah
a labor of love, for
Uh-huh.
sure.
It is. That it is. And I think that to me, that's one of the things where I appreciate it. But I also think to me, sometimes when I see that, then it's like, oh, you took all that time and then in 15 minutes you devoured it. And then what happens? So
Oh my
sometimes
god, 50, yeah, well, then you have to lay there like a rattlesnake that just ate a badger. That's what you do.
yes.
That's why
That
you need to avoid the sides. You only eat crispy salad sides.
only eat the meat.
Well, I mean,
Um
that's what goes the best with it though, like pickled onions or just pickles if you don't like onions. Those things that are cold and crunchy go so well, and vinegary goes so well with all that fat. It's so fatty.
I had what was his name? His name Tyler from Smoke Made Meats. I
Tyler,
had
yeah.
their brisket cheesesteak
Oh,
is
that
what I
looks
had.
so good.
And when I had it, I asked him, I said, what do I get for the side? Because I would be like, oh, potato salad. And he's like, no, the coleslaw. And I was
Oh,
expecting,
definitely.
and I was expecting the coleslaw to be like mayonnaisey, but it wasn't, which made it even greater. And then he had a
Mhm.
zucchini and tomato side that
That's
was like
new,
with
and I heard
onion.
it's really good. I want that.
Super, super good. I couldn't finish it. I couldn't finish my sides. I couldn't finish, like, I literally ate
Yeah,
half the
that's
sandwich.
barbecue. That's
And
what
then
barbecue is,
yeah, and
when
I brought it
people
home
finish
and my
it, those people are like, you need a doctor trailing those people.
yeah. So I brought it home and my family got to eat it and they were like, this is amazing. They're like, this is zucchini and tomatoes. And she's like, this coleslaw is like ridiculous. And I was like, and then I shared some of my brisket with them and they were like, man, I'm like, this is so good. And I was like, yes, that's one thing
Yeah,
I do
that's a
like about it.
brisket place. They do really good sausage, though.
Yes,
They
I
do
had the
re The
sausage.
sausage is really good there, but I'm a
Yes.
brisket person, and that's Texas barbecue, and that's brisket, so it's like,
Yeah.
if you can only pick one thing, that's what you want, but if you're gonna pick a
Yes.
couple, I would definitely go for the sausages there. Hankley's has a really good Boxer& and Clover has a really, really good potato salad. Did you try that?
I did have the potato salad.
It was
I like
good.
it.
The beans
Yes,
were
I
still
like
my
it.
favorite, though.
Yes. My daughter got the beans because she wanted watermelon and they didn't have any. And so then I said, oh, you should get the cowboy beans. Because I'm like, I love a good baked beans. Because that's what I thought it was. I thought it was going to be
It
like
was
baked
way
beans.
better than baked beans
And
because
I was
baked
like,
beans are
yeah.
always too sugary. I never get baked beans. I only got the beans because I wanted to try everything. And I was so glad I did because next time, next winter or whatever, 100 years when it's cold again, like it seems like summer just, it was winter and then boom, it was like 95 degrees and there were tornado warnings.
Pretty
so,
much. Pretty
so,
much.
but next time when the weather cools off again, I am going to go there and I'm going to eat those beans for lunch because that's
Okay.
like chili. Or I'll get
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
rib and scrape it into the beans
There
and
you
I'll
go.
eat
That sounds delicious. No, I definitely enjoy it. I will say that I don't always go for the barbecue, but being barbecue month, I definitely needed to try it and
May of
definitely needed to
barbecue
have
month.
it.
Yes.
And so that's kind of the big one. Do you have any fun stuff that's coming up from barbecue month that you're sharing or working on
The
or
pulled pork that I'm making right now
yeah,
will be in the newspaper. I mean, I'm not sure when this is going to is this going to air next week? I'm not
it'll
sure.
probably air.
Whenever this one drops, it's going to be in the paper next week.
Okay.
So,
And then
Um,
your recipe will be on there? It will be on the
yeah, oh yeah, the
newspaper?
recipe will be in there, and I'll tell the
Alright.
story that everybody here who's listening will already know,
That's okay.
in more words probably,
Yeah.
because that's what I do. But if you don't want to do that, you could just go get the recipe. There'll be a link and all that other stuff.
I love it. I love it. We do a crock pot. We do obviously. I think everyone's got a crock pot, and they do they do a pulled pork or something like that. Do usually go that route with like a butt, and we'll just go and I'll
Yeah.
do and I usually will do like the rub on it, and then leave it like for 24 hours of the rub, and then try to throw it in there and get it all going with like the. But I don't have a go-to. I don't have a go-to. I've tried different things. I've done it with like soda. I've done it with beer.
Maybe you
I've
could try this one.
I
This
think
one,
I am going to try this
it's
one.
so good. It's so good, and if you like sauce, you can just totally add the sauce after. You know,
Yeah, I like that.
um, yeah, I would warm up any sauce that you wanted to use if you want to toss it. But you seem to be like, I'm going to taste it first, so maybe you'll.
Yeah, I'd rather eat the meats and see what it's like, and then I'll put the sauce on it if I
There are
want to put
so
some
many
sauce.
people though who just sauce it. They sauce it before they taste it. It's almost like the meat is a vehicle for the condiment. You
Yes,
know.
yes, and I'm okay with that. But I get it. Like I feel like that's just like you're masking like deliciousness of all the hard work and all the and everything that comes with it that they
Yeah, and
did.
that's, I think when I see sauce, I know that this isn't the same thing, but like I want you to want to give it to me without sauce so that I can really taste it. Like if you're putting sauce on stuff and it's not usually, like if you serve me Texas brisket, but you're saucing it before I get it, like that's sus.
Yeah,
Like
I got.
what are you covering? What are you covering up?
I like that. I like that. I think that should be the thing. If you go to any barbecue place and they sauce it up, you're sus. It's what is what's
Sauce
the
is sus.
yeah. I like it. I like that. That's a good
But
one.
people should eat it the way they like it.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I definitely, for sure. But I definitely do think that, it's nice to be able to try certain things
Taste it first. Just
before.
taste it.
It's
Then you
well, I mean,
get
it's
then
also
you
the
get
same thing with people who salt food before they throw salt on food before they even eat it. And they're like,
right.
"Oh no, it's not salty enough." And I'm like, "But you didn't even try it yet." I'm like, "How do you know?" You know?
Maybe the chef was perfect. Maybe
Yeah.
that balance is exactly there. You have to give it a chance first.
Mind you, if my mom made it, that's probably low salt, and I'm probably going to have to salt it. But that's besides that's besides the point.
Right.
When it
Well,
comes to it.
when I make chicken soup, I tend to like it less salty, or at
Hmm.
least to salt it myself. So I tend to make it a little less salty, and I'll warn people. I'll be like, you're probably going to want to add salt to it, just
Yeah.
because I don't want it to be salty right out of the. I'd rather just do it myself, kind
No,
of
I
a thing.
gotcha.
I put salt in it, so like, but I always warn people because I like it.
Do you this will be the last question before we wrap up, and obviously I'm asking because I as a sandwich person, but like bread wise, are you a fan of the piece of bread to be able to kind of sop up all the juices and the all the sauce and all that
Well,
stuff that comes with it?
I like the bread because the bread
Yeah.
does do that. First of all, it serves as like a blotter.
Yeah.
It's like the equivalent of the napkin on pizza for those people who do that. But yeah, you have an option. Then there's an option. There's like a nice greasy piece of white bread. Although when people do that, I will say this, I don't want Texas toast. I am not a fan of Texas toast. I just want it to be like plain white bread that's not grilled and greasy. I want
Or
it to be greasy. I want it
buttered.
to be greasy from the meat that's sitting on it, not from anything else.
Yeah. It's actually kind of like when people ask me like why people ask me sometimes, they're like, "Hey, is a open face sandwich or is that considered a sandwich?" And I usually tell them no. And it's kind of the same idea with like either like with hot chicken or with barbecue. The idea of it is to be able. It's a trencher. It's basically it's supposed to be absorb all the juices and everything so that you can eat it, but it's not meant to be. That's kind of what it is. It's supposed to sop up all that stuff
I loved when I was a kid the hot open turkey sandwich. We always talk about
with
Thanksgiving
gravy.
food. Yeah, I used to love it. I would go to I'm again, I guess I'm dating myself. I used to go to Howard Johnson's
Oh
when I was a
wow.
kid with my friend Sharon. We would walk to Howard Johnson's from her house. We were in elementary school. And we would go there and she would get like everybody. I guess I was always the weird one. Like she would get like a hamburger or grilled cheese and I would always get the hot open turkey sandwich. That was what I wanted.
You're like an old soul there. I'll have
I,
that
I
with a cup of soup, please.
definitely. If they had fish cakes, I would have ordered those too.
Wow.
Fish
Yeah.
cakes and spaghetti.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
Is that
my
fish?
timer's going off.
There you go. Well, this is
The
perfect
pulled
because this
pork's
is a good
done.
way to wrap it up, so we can wrap up the episode.
Yeah, now I
Uh,
can.
and
Alexa,
now
stop timer.
Alexa, let's wrap up the show. Um, so that's our show for today. Thank you so much for coming on and talking and listening to us talk about barbecue. I'd love to for you guys to leave some recommendations. I want to thank you so much to everyone for listening in. Definitely check, subscribe, tell your friends. We're more episodes coming. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But
Yeah,
thanks
and tell us
to
in the comments where we should go to eat ribs and whatever.
and
You
barbecue
know,
or anything. Yep.
yeah, give us your barbecue places.
Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.